Welcome everyone, hope you all had a great day today. Welcome to today's video. Today we'll be going over one of my Eclipse 8 runs. I'll just talk my way through it, give my thoughts, opinions, my general ideas, and yeah, we'll just kind of just talk my way through it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and hope you find something interesting in it. So hopefully within it's been roughly a week since my last upload. I'm just going to try and increase the upload schedule a little bit more, just because I've been busy past couple of days with messing with a lot of stuff, like various things, and yeah, I definitely want to increase my video upload speed a little bit better. So hopefully I'll get a video up every couple days or so. I have several ideas I want to try and turn into videos, but I have to think them through, scripts and all that stuff, and try to make sure I like them before I make them into a video. And the 15th is when I start college, and I don't want to reuse a joke for my stream, but hold on, I'll be right back. But I mean, look at this boy. He is a thick boy. How many pages does the guy have? Oh my, 135. Or, no, 1,035. Oh my. No, 1,135. Oh my. He's a big boy. This is not a book. This is like heavy armor meant to stop a low-caliber bullet. Knowledge is power, so I guess maybe a bullet can't stop knowledge. And, yeah. So this cost $70, fun fact. And another fun fact, this book, which is, solid flood right there. But, this book has, 321 pages. Costs the same amount of money, but has a nice little cover on it. So I guess it kind of works well, doesn't it? It makes a fair price. So yeah. And yeah, I think there's also sweet little this is for my family, actually for my own mom, dad. Yeah, it's quite what G says, for my own mom, dad, and others. That's kind of sweet. Very sweet, but not sweet enough to make me forget that these books cost $70 each, which, when you take relative context in the situation, $70 is worth 2 weeks of food for me. So yeah, very sweet. First page of I guess the best way to put it is recognition. For Fred, Anthony, and Alyssa and all that stuff. Very sweet, but not sweet enough to make me forget that both of these cost $70, which is 2 weeks of food for me. So oh yeah, I forgot inflation exists. Well, it's gonna be. Money's going to cost, be worth even less now. So it's not wonderful. So yeah, great stuff overall. But yeah, I want to try and increase my schedule up a little bit more. And hopefully I'll be able to keep up with all this stuff, and hopefully you all enjoy the videos. So let's get right into the actual abilities themselves. First off, we have a Magnetic Accelerator, which is basically the red item for the laser scope item. The red item that gives you additional 100% critical strike damage. That basically turns everything that gives you critical strike chance into that item, basically a lesser form of that item. So the first stack of scythe, lens maker glasses, so they basically turn any critical strike chance from a actual, chance on hit to a guaranteed damage boost as long as you get critical strike, which we'll talk about shortly by how you're able to get critical strikes constantly, because that's the whole gimmick about Railgunner. Execute our smart round system. Very good close range overall. This pew pew attack basically just track stuff. Helps very well. You just get a syringe, a tri-tip, crowbar, and a focus crystal, and you're relatively safe against most melee enemies. Small melee enemies, no problem. So yeah, very solid overall. Just great pew pew. Great pew pew damage overall. It's the best way to describe it, because you just fire away and it just does the job for you, pretty much. And the Hh44 Marksman. Now, this is one of the first, side grades you can have. There's the original one, which is basically does way more damage, but you also have to manually reload it, which is basically just a quick time event. So, real fun. But the Hh44 Marksman and the other side grade. So basically, you're able to zoom in and basically make the game a first-person shooter. And this is very nice because there's weak points on every enemy, and there's basically going to be a little spot on the enemy where visually shows it, and if you hit it using those abilities, you get critical strike damage. So basically that's your form of you can't As far as I know, unless in like some extraordinary circumstances, you cannot get a random critical strike. You have to actually hit weak points on a target using Hh44 Marksman and the other side grade to it. So those are the only ways, as far as I know of, unless in like some absurd, like odd situation where you can technically get crit chance naturally or some weird interaction or something I have not seen before. But that's your main way to get critical strike damage. And given the amount of damage like you can do, like 400% damage is still pretty solid. Like, it's not bad. It's not nearly as strong as the other side grade, but honestly, it's just better because not only do you not have to manually reload it, like the other one does way more damage. So if you have a crowbar, that's great, but this one's kind of better just because you're just able to constantly fire it off, because it's basically like any other ability where you just fire away. In fact, I think it's more considered like a primary like attack. Like, the higher attack speed you have, the faster you fire it off. Like, you don't really have to worry about cooldown. So if you just get a few syringes, you can just let this thing rip basically and just shred stuff if you hit the weak points constantly. So yeah, pretty solid. Which you can also technically do with, you know, the other one with the manual reload and all that stuff, but I think it's just way more efficient just to quickly get damage off as fast as possible, because Railgunner, as you may see very soon during this run, is not that great in sustained fights, so bursting everything down is kind of your main solution to most problems. So yeah, that's kind of why I like this one over the other one, just because you're just able to burst damage out a lot quicker and you don't have to worry about the manual reload, just because it gives you an extra chance to mess up. And it's not great if you're not able to fire because you accidentally messed up your quick time event as Mythrix is about to, you know, beat your head in with a mallet, so not great. Concussion device. Throws out a device that pushes you and nearby enemies away. First off, very funny if you're able to push a lot of stuff on a cliff, very funny. But this is your main movement, and you'll see it a lot during this run, because depending on, you know, you throw down a mine, after a few seconds it explodes and it pushes everything it can push in, you know, a direction relative to it. So if you position yourself and jump, you're able to push yourself quite far and get above ledges and, you know, get some decent vertical height out of it. So it's a very efficient, relatively, movement option. But of course you can't do it in the air because the mine has to be on the ground in order to actually activate. So you can't really do it in the air, so it's not really as effective as Huntress's Blink. So not great, but still pretty good. And I also view it as this way better just than the side grade, or quote unquote side grade, because I think this is awful. Like the mine that slows projectiles down around it. It's like, alright, but I think the movement is just so much better. And the idea is, my personal feelings about Railgunner is, you just shoot the stuff before it shoots you, and you just kind of kill them before they get you. Like, you don't get a sluggy match. No sluggy matches for Railgunner, pretty much. Just like, you don't want to get into that stuff. You don't slug it out with like a stone titan. You one shot his head, and that's it. You click on his head, and he just gets deleted. So that's kind of like how I view Railgunner. It's basically, you don't get a sluggy match. You basically one shot him, or they kill you, basically. So we're not really that extreme, but you want to burst them down before they burst you down. And it's supercharged, so there's a side grade that does less damage, does not cause your weapons to be disabled, and it causes freezing. Now that's not necessarily bad, but for the strategy I'm kind of going for, this is basically my boss killer. Because 4,000 damage, pretty good, and 150% weak point damage, pretty solid if you get like a few Onesmaker glasses. Say, also get the laser sight threat at him, you know, extra 100% critical or critical hit damage and all that stuff, because weak point damage and critical strike damage are pretty much the same thing. So as far as I know, unless there's like some weird quirk about how this character works I'm not aware of, but as far as I know, weak point damage and critical strike damage go hand in hand. So yeah, if you get, like, as you'll see in this run, if you get some pretty strong damage stuff, you can really shred stuff on the first hit. So pretty good. And the weapons are disabled for 5 seconds. Now this seems quite bad, but you gotta realize that like the freeze one's good because it doesn't, you know, stop you from firing weapons, but supercharge is kind of a thing where, yes, your weapons will be disabled, but everything else will be dead. So I think that's kind of just, you know, net positive. So it's like, sure, you're not gonna be able to fire your weapons, but everything's dead, so why should you? So yeah, those are my general thoughts. Again, like, play how you want. I'm not saying you should play this way. If you're able to make the freezing alternative to supercharge work, bravo. I'm happy. That's Perfect. You have way more patience than me. Because I like big numbers, and that doesn't give me enough big numbers. So I choose Supercharge instead. But hey, you make stuff work? Perfect. So yeah, we'll just go over the run, and I'll just talk about how I feel about stuff, and hope you enjoyed the video and all that stuff. So basically, we're just going to just go over exactly what happens and all that good stuff. Alright, so we're going to spawn in the Silent Forest. Not bad. Oh, shit. I forgot the magical thing. No volume. Sorry. And turn it up. Well, but when I forget to turn on the settings, because, you know, previewing the video, make sure everything's fine, but I guess my incompetence knows no bounds. Perfect. Good to know that I not only have the terrible quality of my streams, but I also have terrible speaking skills as well. Double bonus. Perfect. But yeah, as you notice here, I'm not on my prime at all. Like this is what I consider a warm-up run. Like, I think this is my second day trying to get a good Eclipse 8 run going. Yeah, this was my second day of doing Eclipse 8 runs, so you can tell I'm kind of like warming up a little bit. So yeah, not doing that great. Now we got Saber Spaces, pretty solid. I would say this spawns one of the best wood items in the game, because not only does Mithrix, he's the most dangerous enemy in the game, in my opinion. I think it's a pretty relatively safe assumption to make. So, and he does a lot of singular hits, so like the Fire Wave and his hammer attacks are pretty like, they hit you, then they hit you again, then they hit you again, in like very slow succession, relatively, once you get it in a combo for the, you know, Mithrix's hammer. So, like, getting a like guaranteed invulnerable hit where it doesn't do any damage is a lot better than kind of hoping that tougher times randomly saves you in that situation, because it's better to guarantee one hit, because, you know, one hit can really screw you over, so just guaranteeing one free hit is pretty solid. Now we got Medkit, and now we have Crowbar. Both pretty good items, and I would say Crowbar is kind of our star of this run, basically. And you'll see why once we get way around to it, like, as we go through a run. Like, you'll see. And as you see, like, the automatic tracking rounds is pretty solid. Now, of course, it's kind of like a character where you just feel very odd. Like, you have to rely on the momentum in the mines, your primary attack is tracking, and your main ways of dealing damage are you going first person, essentially, so this is a very odd character to get used to. And, yeah, just something you have to kind of get used to. Like, I had to get used to it personally myself, and, fun fact, I did not know Supercharge can be zoomed in, so I was kind of just blind firing it when I first started playing Railgunner, so fun fact. Now we got a Goative, a very strong thing overall, as well as Equipment Cell, pretty strong as well. Like, overall, pretty strong items so far. Now, may I introduce you to how I fight bosses as Railgunner? See, he's still in Titan? I don't see him, he's dead. But yeah, that's how Railgunner works. You see a boss, you shoot him in the head, they're gone. They're dead. So, that's the Railgunner experience. You just shoot them once and they're dead. Now, in this situation here, I would view the rounds as more easily capable of dealing with smaller stuff like this, because sure, you're able to walk on it, like, you're able to click on heads and basically just blast them away, but it's just better to constantly be on the move and just fire away with the auto-tracking rounds, because the auto-tracking rounds do 100% damage and they're pretty solid, so yeah, they're able to clear out stuff pretty well. Like, that's a pass that goes away pretty fast. Like, sure, it has a crowbar, but that's not bad at all. So yeah, never underestimate the sheer damage of, like, the little tracking rounds when I'm dealing with, like, chaff, because usually for stuff like this, you want to be on the move and not want to hard scope, really, because if you hard scope, you know, the most dangerous Elder Lumerian is the one behind you don't see, and you know, being zoomed in, you don't see it that much if it's right behind you, so, you know, being aware of your surroundings is pretty solid, so hard scoping unless you feel really safe is not a good idea. There we go. And we're just gonna go, and this is basically just me to quickly wander around the stage because I see a chest over there. I'm gonna grab it real fast because, oh, 2 chests. Perfect, yes. So, yeah, it's always good to check, you know. If you see a chest, like, roughly nearby, especially with a speed item, there's nothing really wrong checking it out, because, as we saw, we got a gasoline in the back of mag. Now, the back of mag is kind of useless, because our secondary is basically just an auto attack, so it doesn't really need extra charges, but the gasoline is pretty good, and the back of mag is effective scrapper fodder, so, which I'm hanging over to right now, so, yeah. Now, there's a problem with the, mine as well. Sure, you're able to get some pretty good movement if you're able to, like, throw a mine down, go forward, and throw another mine down while you're mid-flight, then go forward even more, but the problem is if you, fall damage is partially determined by momentum, so yeah, there's some funny times where I accidentally flew right into the ground and took some damage, so yeah, you gotta be careful of that. And 2 crowbars, so as you saw, I just one-shot Stone Titan a minute or so ago, so now we have a second crowbar, so now whenever we do a supercharge, now that first hit's gonna be basically just even more dead, even more dangerous overall, so that's great. So yeah, whenever we hit a boss, it's gonna hit really hard. Now, of course, I could get a war banner, everyone's favorite item for a scrap, but I feel like it's not really worth it, since, war banner isn't going to really help us overall, so I'm going to save the scrap for later on, since it's going to get rid of, while it may not be great to scrap items that are not necessarily truly useful, if your item, for example, has no use, say, back a magazine in this scenario, it has no use because our secondary has no real charges. It's, it's fine to scrap because it's not helping you either way, and you might as well scrap it just in case. Because, sometimes you may not want to scrap stuff just because you need something, like, Monster Tooth may not be the greatest healing, but it's not going to heal you if you scrap it, and, if you have no other items, then that could be a real problem. Or healing items, that could be a real problem. Now we're on to third crowbar. So, yeah, I'm sensing a pattern here. Triple crowbar, so basically, whenever we hit someone with supercharge, it's not gonna have a good time. Yeah, that was pretty much almost half the health of Clay Templar, just taken out in one hit. I say it's pretty solid. Now, this is probably one of the worst problems with the mine, though, overcompensating for jumps, because I did not need to do that. I could have angled in a certain way where I didn't go straight up. And since I went straight up, that caused fall damage, so you gotta be really careful with this stuff. You don't want to cause extra fall damage for no reason, especially on Eclipse 8, because, permanent damage is a thing, so that can really hurt you. Got some speed items overall, so honestly, speed items are usually the best. Soda cans, goat heads, that's what you really want most of the time, so usually, unless there's something really amazing, there's, other options for a multi-shop, usually speed items are usually your top one pick. Yeah, as you see how the tracking rounds are able to go around corners really well. So they're basically just auto hit essentially. So, because they're tracking rounds, they're supposed to do that. But yeah, you're able to farm around corners relatively effectively. Of course, you can't farm. They're not that great at tracking, but considering overall, they're pretty good tracking overall. So yeah, they're not amazing, but they'll do their job quite well. So we have to deal with rats. It'd be pretty nice to fire them around a corner. Or off a wedge, and they'll probably hit, so. Roll pennies actually is relatively fine, just in case we need some extra money. Unfortunately, we can't get some money off fault damage, which is pretty nice. And there's our first critical chance item, technically, so. Which, now we have a 10% increase to critical hit damage now. Or weak point damage, as it's called, so. Yeah. That escalates a lot, because Supercharge increases critical hit damage by 150%, so pretty solid. So yeah, this is one of the characters where you really want, some characters you want to get a lot of proc stuff, you want to get missiles, you want to get ukulele, and while that's good on Railgunner, often just getting raw damage buffs crit, glasses, all that stuff, crowbars, anti-armor rounds, watches. Those are those things you really want, because they can really escalate really fast. Because you saw with one crowbar, I just blasted a Titan, so. Yeah, this thing can really escalate real fast. Now, if I'm correct, we'll be doing with Clay Dune Shredder, and he be gone. And get my return. Very good item. Clay Apothecary goes down. Like, this is pretty solid overall. Yeah, this is basically just me moving around as much as possible right now, because, like, I'm not going to hard scope, because honestly, the tracking rounds are just doing just fine. So, like, they're doing just as fine as the scoped shots, so there's no reason to scope at all, so yeah. That's the case for when you want to do a scope shot just to quickly take down a elite real fast, but usually that's the only exception. And if it was a wheat pest, for example, I would keep on moving around, because unless I feel really comfortable, because a wheat pest can hurt, so, you know, it's better to constantly be on the move and take off health bit by bit rather than try and hard scope, take them down one shot, and get, you know, get hit in return and possibly die, because the wheat pests really do hurt. They hurt a lot. So, yeah. Not fun, so often just moving around, just being safe is the best option. Now we got Solar Syringe, Harpoon, pretty good items overall, especially Solar Syringe, because that increases our secondary fire. So yeah, that's going to be basically just like a automatic railgun, essentially. How it looks are always nice, it's like, you know, it's general, not as great as if you have it on Engineer, because your turrets don't get that, because you don't have turrets as a railgunner, so, you know, can't have fun with automatically regenerating turrets with Railgunner when you have that item, but, you know, pretty good if you just get hit and you just need health. So, Rally Point Delta. Now, this is a pretty good area overall, very open, so at the very least you're able to snipe stuff. Of course, if you're not... you're good at sniping stuff, that's great, but unlike, you know, if you're not me, so, you know. Great for sniping stuff, but if you're like me, you're not going to take advantage of it at all, because I'm terrible at aiming. Again, this is basically my warm-up run, like, technically, so... or should have been. Because, spoiler, I kind of completed a run, which, you know, I guess is pretty obvious already, so... yeah. Like, honestly, I'm surprised this run even, like, got through, so... like, being completely honest, like... yeah. Like, I had a few runs that did pretty well, but they just fell apart at the end, so... yeah. Bit surprised. And there's the... basically the equivalent of a, jackpot, basically, a goat printer, or a goat hoof printer, so... pretty good. Shipping request form, set in the wrong order. Pretty good item just for free green items or free white items, and if you're lucky, a free red item if you're very lucky, so, you know, very good overall. Now here comes a funny, interesting thing I learned about while playing, while playing Railgunner. So different enemies have different levels of when they're going to get staggered. So, for example, normal, like, harder hitting secondary you get automatically, that's able to stun golems, that's able to stun build guards, and, you know, bison. But the secondary one that you unlock, which is the one I currently have, that's only able to stun build guards and bisons, for example. Golems will not be automatically stunned by him or staggered. So, yeah. As you saw, this golem just didn't really care that much about getting shot in the face. Bisons did, so it's good to know which enemies get staggered by what, because being able to stagger a golem and being able to stagger a build guard and knowing when you're able to do that is a big deal. So basically, we were just going to, as you obviously see, you know, shred stuff. So pretty good. But yeah, it's like, turns out staggering stuff's pretty solid, so yeah, just keep in mind that, so. The good news is Mired Urn is basically just very solid healing against a lot of stuff, because very often you'll be dealing with stuff in close corridors or in a like closed off area, or a relatively small area, often. So being able to not only slow something down, deal constant damage to it, as well as heal off it is pretty solid.
Now, of course, the best part about aiming is obviously, as you can see, the rats move really fast, especially with 50% movement speed on Eclipse. So, honestly, the main problem with Railgunner is like Lumerians, rats, beetles. Often they kind of move in really weird ways or stagger patterns. We're just not able to focus on that well. So, yeah, your main problem is often just trying to hit them or like trying to, you know, get a good shot off. Because you think you're going in one way, then it'll just go another way. So just, you know, throws off your aim. So that's always fun. Now, as you saw, pretty easily guessed. Queen Doonstrider, great way to pronounce that. Quay Doonstrider went down in one hit, and we're basically just running around in a circle, trying not to get hit before our cooldown is, you know, done with. Since we don't want to die, so it's better just to circle around and just fire away. Because, you know, it's like, why should I sit in a teleporter right next to a, you know, Quay Doonstrider and die while I'm waiting for someone to recharge, rather than just simply going around, wasting like a few seconds of time relatively, make sure I stay alive. You know, admittedly pretty dangerous situation, and, you know, getting an easy kill, so, yeah. Now, Band of Weir is pretty solid, because sure, it won't be able to stop you from losing your weapons for 5 seconds after you supercharge, but the cooldown to supercharge, that doesn't, you know, start recharging after you get over that 5-second cooldown period where you can't shoot anything at all. If you get Band of Weir, it automatically recharges, so you're able to fire it off, get a Band of Weir, fire off again. So it's pretty solid. Like, yeah, that's actually one of the best uses of Band of Weir. Like, you're just easily able to, like, that's equivalent of value of, you know, getting Band of Weir for Engineer, where you're able to, slam down an extra turret if one dies really fast, so, you know. It's very good overall. Like, Band of Weir, like, if you have any one cooldowns at all, Band of Weir is amazing. Most of the time, so. Or if you're very, you know, ability, like, you know, you're very focused on abilities like Mercenary, so, yeah. Now, basically, we're just kind of being really greedy, and we're just going to grab everything possible to turn into goat hooves, or just get in general, so. Which, you know, obviously we're going to get a lot of goat hooves, because we don't get many good items. Now, honestly, Bleed's very good, obviously, with the tracking shot, and just, you know, applying Bleed on, like, if you have any fast attacks, like, or, you know, fast owl attack, like, if you're able to attack really fast and hit someone really fast, Bleed's very good. Turns out recording at like 4 AM does not do well on you. Who knew? But yeah. Again, bundle of fireworks, great. Watch, stun grenade, pretty solid. Also went a few times where watch is actually pretty good because damage is so great with Railgunner that sure you may lose it, but if you just kill everything on the first hit, then it doesn't really matter. So yeah. But yeah, we're gonna turn quite a few things into goat house, and I think this is where the part where I just forget where the scrapper is. Funnily enough. Now, if you know where the scrapper is, I'm avoiding every area but it. So. Or I'm going to every area except where it actually is, because I forgot where it was. Again, this was basically my prep run, so I was not really in the best of, I wasn't really, I was a little bit rusty, so I kind of just forgot where the scrapper was, so. It'll be fair though, it's also I also partially used it too. And I think I walked right past it, there we go. There we go, found it eventually. But yeah. I partially use that also as I use my blunder as a chance to possibly get some more chests. So, because you know one chest could have a red item in it, and that could really help. So, it's pretty worthwhile to check on that stuff. And you know, if you get lucky, well, that could save your run. So, it's kind of a really funny thing. It's like you think you're able to skip one chest, but then you kind of realize in the back of your mind that could have been a sacrificial dagger, and I may never know. So, yeah, very fun when you really think about it, because technically any chest is is a clover, sacrificial dagger, anything. So, yeah, any chest could be it. So yeah, basically be paranoid about what every chest has. Also, see that Stone Titan? He dead now. This is just basically just Railgunner. Like, he just shoots stuff. Again, that's pretty much every single survivor. So, yeah, pretty much every survivor, besides Mercenary, like, and Woder, and honestly Accurate, like, until Accurate has the little bile spit secondary, so, yeah, technically, most characters you shoot stuff with, so, yeah. Not really a big niche of Railgunner has, I guess, you know, in whole niche of shooting stuff. Now here's Vagrant. So Vagrant's weak spots, as you see here, on the bottom of its actual tentacles, which aren't really that easy to hit sometimes if it's moving around really weird, because, you know, Vagrant has like a very static way of moving, so it can just turn on a dime sometimes, or it can't feel like that, so, or just, you know, move or tilt in a very odd way suddenly, so getting a good shot on him sometimes is pretty nasty, so, yeah. At least in my experience, like, you saw that Vagrant kind of move to side very slightly, it's like, that could have easily thrown off your aim, and if you're going to try and, you know, defeat it before it throws off Nova, for example, and one-shot you, well, you had to hope you have pretty good aim, because otherwise you'll be in pretty big trouble. And speaking of any chest having red item, there's a Clover. And I may have you know, raised that whole, idea up just because, you know, I knew it was coming, but, you know, foreshadowing's always fun. Now, I'm pretty sure... Am I correct on this one? I actually kind of forgot. Okay, so 5% crit for the Harvest type isn't great, Red Whip isn't good either, and also the, yeah, but Jerry Chest. Yeah, I was watching Jerry Chest there, but I'm not going to get it because I already have an item, and we're not going to wait for a secondary item that may not do anything. Because, first off, let's get past the multi-shot. Healing from the scythe isn't that great because I have to always, you know, hit headshots essentially, which is not great for healing. Hopi Feather is great for dealing with fall damage, so that's what I want. And Red Scythe, we are in movement, so we don't need a, you know, Red Whip. So, yeah. But yeah, the problem with Clover, though, is that crit isn't a luck-based thing anymore. It's more of like, you know, Crowbar. It's a static buff. It's not actually like a 10% chance to do double damage. It's just, you know, 10% extra damage when you critically hit somebody in the head, for example. So it's like sort of Syringe, essentially. So the only luck-based thing we have is Bleed. And also, yeah, this is where you gotta be really careful about trying to scope in and focusing on certain targets, because golems come up behind you, they can easily kill you, so, yeah. Remember to be always on your guard, and the second you see a laser, at, you know, pointed to the back of your head, run. So, yeah, but the thing is, like, I was trying to get back onto, we have no luck-based items, really. Like, we have Bleed, Bandolier, and nothing really else that really matters. Now, of course, we could Ukulele, which is a luck-based item. We're not going to go for Wax Coil, because we already have a decent amount of speed. But yeah, like, funny enough, a lot of red items, like the very good ones, are very situational where we think about it. Like, Sacrificial Daggers require a lot of small chaff to pop up in order to effectively get used out of that. Clover requires, you know, luck-based items, which sometimes is not one of those. It's not affected by luck. So, yeah. You have to rely on luck-based items spawning for that to be useful. And, but, you know, raw damage is always available for Railgunners, so, you know. I'm not even sure how I managed to, like, almost one-shot the other Stone Golem, even though I wasn't really aiming for him. I had no idea why. I still don't know why, but I managed to do it somehow. I'm not complaining. That's the magic of Railgunner. You sometimes one-shot stuff you didn't expect to one-shot. Even though clearly you probably shouldn't have, you know, so. Games is being weird, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like, use Supercharge to basically clear out the boss, and yeah, sure, you won't be able to fire for 5 seconds, but does that really matter when there's nothing on, you know, trying to kill you at that point? Because you killed the boss, and most likely anything next to him, because, you know, if Ukulele goes off, that's going to use the damage of the Supercharge, which, you know, probably will take down a lot of stuff as well, so, yeah. Or maybe it was Ukulele that, honestly, that may have possibly been Ukulele. I'm not sure that caused that damage, or I'm not even sure, really. maybe like Crowbar could have taken effect, and since it was such high amounts of damage, it just possibly, yeah, it could have possibly happened. Like it could have been Ukulele and Crowbar, so maybe. Like I still have no idea, but it was still that's pretty solid. Good news is we're up to Soda Syringe ×2, which is pretty solid for attack. Oh yeah, accidentally kicked my desk there, but the Soda Syringe is pretty solid overall. Now this is actually gonna bring up a problem later on, and obviously like this area is very cluttered, so I'm not gonna like try and sweep it really. So yeah, that's why I just didn't go around, just because it's just so cluttered. I'm not gonna be able to find anything effectively. First off, Soda's probe gone. But yeah, like the Soda Syringe will actually pose a problem later on, which basically I think it's actually the right chest to bring it up on. Yeah, Soda Syringe. So basically, Mythric's don't get those Soda Syringes, so that's kind of a problem because if he's going to fire constantly from an attack, you know, increased attack speed, that could be a pretty big threat if he has, for example, say, bleed, crit, you know, shuriken, you know, like there's some pretty nasty stuff that could easily hurt me if Mythrix has like so much attack speed where I can't really fight back. And also missile, which is amazing. Because you supercharge, you get a missile off that, and now your supercharge, you know, has 300% extra damage. It goes into another target, that gives the crowbar effect. So basically you're just kind of just tripling your damage into infinity essentially, so yeah. But the problem is though, like we're gaining so much attack speed where Mythrix could actually pose a serious threat to me. Because I may not be able to easily attack him back. Of course Mythrix is a little bit weird, but you know, it's a possibility that could happen and you want to try and avoid that if possible, but again, the main thing with missile is, it's basically just how the idea goes. You shoot a boss with supercharge, you one-shot them, you get a missile off that. And first off, supercharge originally goes off with 4 crowbars. You get a missile from that, then that missile hits something else, and it gets extra crowbars. So basically, you're stacking crowbars twice with a supercharge, essentially, which is amazing amounts of damage. Like, I'm pretty sure I know roughly the highest hit we do in this run, and it's pretty solid. Like this can go, like this is how you get 1 million damage for Railgunner in one hit. That whole challenge thing for you got one of the skills. Like you need to get 1 million damage in one hit in order to get one of the abilities unlocked. That's how you effectively do it. You basically get supercharge, crowbar, missile, stack. That's it. Like you get crit, great. You don't get crit, well, you can always get missile. So yeah, that's basically how it goes. Now I chose Y stats though, because you're able to have 3 supercharges in a row. So basically, not only do Bandolier, you know, refresh cooldown, but I also have 3 charges base, so it makes you just straight up able to constantly fire them one after the other. So yeah. So now basically the one limiting factor of supercharge is the 5-second cooldown. You know, and that's not really a problem because like, assuming with all the stuff I'm proccing, with like the missile and everything with, you know, Clover, like, I'm probably gonna be taking down everything with 1 supercharge anyways, so yeah. And also great thing about Saber Spaces is, I'm able to activate Void Chest, Blood Shrines for free. Because, yeah, they'll cost 50% of my health, but thanks to the ability of Saber Spaces, blocking the first, you know, damage, you know, I take with a charge, I'm able to simply avoid it. So I'm basically able to get through Void Cradles and Blood Shrines with ease. So yeah, that's why I think it's kind of one of the best items for Eclipse. Just because you're just able to get free stuff, or free Void Cradles and free Blood Shrines without wasting, you know, any healing. Or any permanent damage on you, so pretty solid. And we get a second stack of that stuff, so it's going to cool down even, you know, the cooldown is, you know, reduced a little bit more. Now I go Grandpa. And Grandpa is probably not going to have a good time in a second. Nope, Grandpa's not going to have a good time in a second. 57k, not bad. Fun fact, that's usually roughly 70 to 60% of health Mifrix has per phase when I usually get to him. So already we're getting hits strong enough to roughly one-shot Mifrix if he's around, 70% health. So yeah, we're getting to that point now where we're actually able to reasonably one-shot Mifrix in some situations. So yeah, isn't Railgunner fun? Well, he didn't have a good time, did he? Now I'm standing up on that. We'll part of teleport in case a mushroom spawns, because if a mushroom fires their little, spore shot, they may hit the ground underneath me, but they'll not hit the actual teleporter itself. So I'm actually able to stand above it, much like how you're able to stand on the pylons in the moon stage or commencement and avoid the fire ground effect of the little roly-poly moon constructs by simply standing on top of or on the little wedge of those pylons. So yeah, nice little trick if you really hate either mushrooms or the roly-poly stuff on the roly-poly constructs on the moon. There you go. But yeah, of course, running into spore AoE on the ground doesn't really help the problem. But hey, but now we kind of have a problem where I kind of need some form of I need an ability just in case. I need the equipment I can recharge just in case Mifrix has too much attack speed where I can't effectively fight back. Now normally I would choose Chrysalis, but the thing is, I remember this quite cruelly. I was like, if Mifrix has too much attack speed where I can't effectively fire back at him without risking possible death, reasonably, because that happened to me a couple times where I did get the Mifrix, got to stage 4, but he managed to attack so fast where I wasn't able to back up fast enough after peeking him, and he killed me. Like when he had 0 health. In fact, I think one of the runs I had, I managed to take him down all the way, but the drone finished him off. But I think that was actually, I finished phase 3, and he died to a missile drone, and I died immediately at that period of time as well. And missile drone finished off Mifrix for me and managed to blow up the moon for me. So real fun. That I was not salty at all. That a drone did better than me, but hey. But yeah, it's I have to have an equipment just in case, because the Gummy clone can actually do some pretty solid amounts of damage, and it's an extra body on the field, which is gonna take fire from me. So if it keeps me alive, I'm fine with it. Sure, I'm not gonna be as fast as I may want to, but if it's gonna help me get past Mifrix, and the chance that he may be a little bit too dangerous and fire way too fast for my liking, well, then that's fine by me, because then I'll be able to win the run no matter what. It's an extra precaution to make sure I win the run, just in case. Now, I could take another Saber Spaces, but I'm thinking about it real fast. I could take Corner Bobble to slow Mifrix down, but I took Fungus because I need healing, so. Sure, Corner Bobble would be great, but I just need extra healing, and as you see, you actually tell the healing effects are working pretty well, so. Healing Fungus is pretty good. Weeping Fungus, Bustling Fungus, both good in their own situations, but yeah. Never underestimate one stack of Weeping Fungus. It can really help. Now, as you saw there, I'm shooting out a massive amount of missiles, so basically, the real damage I'm producing is not from actual direct attacks, it's from the missiles that are created from Crowbar hits that also get the effects of Crowbar, so basically we're just stacking damage upon damage. And the best part is we have such long range that we're just able to fire them off real fast, and since it's not a shrimp missile, which have limited range, the normal missiles from, normal missile launcher have infinite range, so they just, or pretty much essentially infinite range, as long as they're going under target, as far as I know of. But yeah, they have much longer range than a shrimp missile, because they kind of dissipate after a while. But, regular missiles kind of go on for way longer, so you just kind of fire and forget, and sometimes your missiles will just shred stuff, so. Yeah. Yeah, as you saw, I throw out the gummy Railgunner real fast, just deal stuff, and there you go. Railgunner helped me take down, or the gummy Railgunner helped me take down that. I make several mistakes here, and I think, okay, I think this is not the one where I make a mistake. Like, technically, I think there's a big chance like this whole going to like trying to do the moon normally is a mistake, just because this could easily kill me. And honestly, if you looking back, that's probably a reasonable idea to go behind. Like, unfortunately, didn't get good winner item, but didn't get transcendence. But the thing is, like, I was very nervous about the fact that Mithrix may have enough attack speed, because Mithrix is kind of weird sometimes, where he attacks very fast sometimes, and sometimes he just doesn't attack fast enough. Like, it's very odd sometimes. Also, for some reason, I managed to walk out and find that I had no idea it was even there. I saw it, like, honestly, I saw there was a pylon on top of this area, but it was actually, you know, blood pylon in the Coliseum area. So my hunch with that managed to get me a free razor wire, so that's pretty solid. But yeah, like, I was so nervous about, can I defeat Mithrix if he has enough attack speed to constantly attack me, no problem, and basically just make an unending, like, unyielding wall of like sharp, like, range attacks, and I can't peek him effectively. Like, that was my effective, like, way to counter him, because I throw out the gummy, and Mithrix will maybe try and burst that down, then it'll peek him, or he'll still keep on firing at me, and a Railgunner will fire at him, the gummy Railgunner. So, you know, I was very nervous about that. Arguably, I didn't need to be this, like, this run would have been much easier if I just took Chrysalis, but I was just very nervous about that part, so. And I just kind of decided, sure, it's maybe not the greatest thing ever to prepare for, but in the odd chance it happens, it's worth it, you know, it's worth the risk. So, you know. Yeah, again, the moon stage is, like, very difficult, because not only is it, like, very hard with one of the most difficult enemies in the game, pretty much, but you're not getting anything out of it. Like, you don't get items for it, so it's like you're wasting time. It's basically just dead time. Like, you don't get anything out of it. And you lose stuff as well, because you gain permanent damage as well, so. Unless in the most extreme situations, you never want to do the moon stage, because it's basically just dead time. You waste time, you don't get any items, and you take permanent damage, which can be a really big deal. Now, I'm honestly not sure why I didn't try to do the supercharge right here. I'm just trying to one-shot the guy, but there you go. Now I do. Yeah, 23k, not bad. Now that was one of my main problems. I felt so confident I was able to, like, I felt confident enough where I was able to get on the. Oh, now I see the problem. The whip was actually covered in the fire effects, so he actually died elevated enough where the little roly-poly fire effect, when, you know, that they create when they die, actually managed to get on the whip of the pillar. So I managed to get on the whip of the pillar, but it was covered in fire technically, so that's a bit of a shame. That's okay. So I guess that's a good, you know, warning for everyone who does this whole thing. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. This is where I kind of panicked a little bit. So. Yeah, roly-poly stuff is not fun. Like, I got way too confident here. I'm gonna be completely honest. And that's why you never want to be on the moon stage, because you have to deal with that. And I just lost about 33% of my health to permanent damage. So, yeah. Again, moon stage, very dangerous. You'll probably die. So yeah, I should take Milky Chrysalis, honestly. Let me put it this way, like, may this be a reminder why you should rarely ever pick anything else but Milky Chrysalis if you have a chance. Or Vase. Like, Vase, Milky Chrysalis, they're both essentially the same function, so. And Molten Egg if you have an equipment cell, but we obviously chose that. We obviously chose the Y-Stat cell, so can't really do that if we did get the option to get it, so yeah. But yeah, these guys are very dangerous because they can easily shotgun you, because they shoot out so many projectiles, they have AoE, so it's like, they can easily just burst you down. Like, they hit like trucks. Like, sure, you may get flanked by one hit once in a while, it's like, oh, it's not that much damage, but if they get like 10 hits on you, they're not gonna, like, it's terrifying. So, yeah. As you see now, I'm like way more like active and trying to dodge them. I'm like jumping down, like jumping up and down like a madman, just trying not to get hit. So, yeah, you can tell it kind of spooked me a little bit. Like honestly, I think at this point I was very nervous whether or not I was able to beat Mithrix. Like, I was like genuinely scared. Like, can I actually take down Mithrix or not? So yeah, I mean, I was actually terrified about that. Of course, the glasses look great. Really derpy. Really derpy. Yeah, with the glasses sometimes, like Harpoon Games, or I think that's the company. Yeah, I think that's the company that makes this game. Oh, look at like a barrage of fire from those little orb, like the roly-poly guys. Yeah, that's why they're actually terrifying groups, because they just pump out so much damage. But Harpoon Feathers know what they're doing with item placement on characters. Very comedic. Very comedic. And now we have Mithrix. Now, unfortunately, one-shotting him only takes away like half his health, not like instantly taking down to, you know, his phase. So yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunately, we can only do half health like worth of damage to Mithrix, not just one-shot him. Unfortunately. Now this is basically just me just trying to be very fast. Like, if I didn't have enough like goat hooves, I'd be very nervous right now, because not only does he attack very fast, he has very fast movement speed, he has a projectile attack, but the fire wave attack in phase 3 could be a really big deal, because from what I learned, sometimes like when you're really far away when he activates it, the waves move really fast, but if he's right next to you, the fire wave tends to be a lot slower. So that's kind of a thing I kind of picked up after like a while playing Eclipse stuff. So yeah, like it's the odd thing I'm noticing, but I'm not sure if it's definite or not. But that's a weird thing I've been picking up, where the closer I am to Mithrix when he activates a fire wave attack, he you know, the closer I am to him, the slower it is. The far away from him I am, the faster it goes, which is terrifying. So yeah. Like honestly, if I didn't have this much movement speed, I would go for Wax Coil, because then it'll give me a little bit of boost to help push me out of the fire wave attack area if needed. So, you know, like last ditch, like something goes wrong. So yeah. And as you see here, we're doing a lot of damage. Like, the main problem is we don't have armor piercing rounds, so we can't constantly do a lot of damage. But the first hit is a real, like the first hit is usually the most dangerous, because like we just shred stuff. Like, usually the first hit just takes a guy down, but later on, like, as you see, like, we're not doing that much damage, but when we hit something initially, it really does hurt. So, if we had armor piercing rounds, for example, in exchange for, say, the stun grenade and maybe, like, a few other things, yeah, that would be pretty solid. But yeah, as you saw there, pretty good overall. Our first hit always is a lot of damage, so took down roughly a third of his health in one hit. Now here's the thing, yeah, like, look how slow that thing's going. I've seen those things go way faster. Like, yeah, like, I barely have to move at all sometimes, so yeah, again, like, the closer you are to him when he activates it, he tends to do a lot slower. Now here's something really interesting. Yeah, where did Mithrix's health go? We don't know. I don't know. Be dead. But yeah, really interesting. And that's why you play Railgunner. Stupid stuff like that. Now I one-shot his Saber Spaces barrier for some reason, but for some reason he just kind of doesn't care. So didn't aggro him for some reason. Then when we start firing, he goes off. So yeah. As you see here, he's firing pretty fast, but not nearly as much as I expected. So I could have used Milky Chrysalis. So that was my big mistake there. So if you get this exact same run, take Milky Chrysalis for example. In that situation, you'll be off so much better, because you don't have to deal with Moon Stage, don't have to deal with the roly-poly stuff, you know, the Lunar Chimera stuff. You just ignore all that stuff. But yeah, like, once you get damage on Mithrix with this guy, I think I've actually managed to stagger him. Like, I've never seen him, like, stand still for that long before, so yeah, I think I've actually managed to stagger Mithrix, which is nice. So yeah. And funny note, his eye actually goes red during that time, so nice little detail, I guess. But there we go. But there we go, run done. So honestly, this was a very terrible run overall. Like, again, Milky Chrysalis, I should have chosen that. Many of my shots were very off. Like, I was not cool. I was a little bit rusty. Like, this was my, like, again, this was my prep run. Like, I usually have a run, then usually run after that is, you know, a little bit better, just because I get all, you know, I'm not rusty at that point, so, yeah. Like, honestly, this is a very good item selection overall. I'm pretty happy about that, but I made several mistakes, and I probably should have died several times, so, yeah. Pretty happy with that. And overall, I think the best item overall clearly is Missile and, you know, Crowbar. Like, Crowbar's obviously the most best item you can get for Railgunner, because it stacks so well. Like, the basic little, you know, any attack you do, increasing its damage by a massive amount on the first hit makes Supercharge so much better. Like, that wasn't even a critical hit, and that dealt 11k. 11k damage for a non-critical hit is pretty solid. That was a critical hit, that did 36k. So, yeah. Like, obviously, like, damage applies and all that stuff, but... Yeah, there you go, 328k. That's a power missile right there, 328k. I think that's enough to one-shot a Void Wing, like, phase. Like, that's probably... That's enough damage to probably one-shot a Void Wing, like, one of his phases. That's how much damage... That's absurd amount of damage. But yeah... Like, if you wonder how you get to 1 million damage per shot, or deal 1 million damage in a single shot, that's how you do it. Like, without trying that hard, we got 328k damage in one shot from a missile. If we stacked like a couple more missiles and a couple more crowbars, we could have easily gone to 1 million, because it stacks so heavily with itself, because the missile gets boosted from the damage of the initial hit with crowbar and all that stuff, then it hits another target and that gets crowbar, so you know, it kind of stacks. And then you gotta consider like any other effects that may come into it, like multiple times, multiple instances of like watch, armor increasing rounds, focus crystal, ready to take a big shot. Yep, there we go. Yeah, this is basically just a big shot run. Just shot goes boom. But yeah, that's the run. Like, just never really much else to say. Just go crowbar. Crowbar never fails you. Like, if you go speed, get crowbar, you're in a pretty good shot. You know, pretty good overall single railgunner. But yeah, like 328,000 damage in one shot. When you put it in this perspective, the total damage we dealt is almost 2 million. I'll round up to 2 million just to be really nice and clean with our numbers. 2 million damage roughly. We almost did, like, relatively, we almost did 1/4 of our total damage we did over the run in one hit. Like, I know it's like 200,000 difference, but the fact that we even, like, got over 300,000 is pretty solid. Like, yeah. It's a lot of damage. So, yeah, like, pretty good. It's pretty good. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, I hope to hopefully increase my video, you know, get some more uploads going, have a good time. I'm on Twitch, so if you want to see my horrible speaking skills, you know, live for some weird reason, I'm on there, and you know, because everyone has their Twitch these days, and you know, honestly, I have no real excuse, so I get this cesspit. But hey, if you like that stuff, go right there. I stream Blender art stuff, so if you like watching a weird elemental guy just have, you know, have a really hard, you know, just being unable to move his arms that well, then hey, that's the stream for you, I guess. But yeah, I stream Blender stuff. I stream like Whiskering too. I stream stuff I like. I just stream whatever I feel like doing sometimes. So, you know, hopefully you enjoy that. If you enjoy that stuff, then perfect. And yeah, hope you have a good rest of the night, everyone. It's 4 in the morning. I'm tired. And yeah, hope you have a good rest of the night, everyone. Appreciate you stopping by, and hope you have a good rest of the night or day, depending on your time zone. And yeah, good night, everyone. Ciao.